Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this 10 cards, 1 kit, Love from Lizi, February 2018 card kit. Card 1, I cut a panel out of black cardstock, which was in the kit, to an A2 top folding portrait style card, using a panel from the 12 by 12 sheet. Love Your Fabulous Self is what it says, and the black and white stripes and gold pair well with the gold shimmer paper. I cut that down to size and applied both of them to the front of the black cardstock card mat, and then layered some sequins, which were also from the kit, onto the front of the card. Using Nuvo glitter drops in honey gold, I put those in the center of the layered and non-layered sequin. Using a piece of the black cardstock, I cut that into a narrow strip and then applied the gold shimmer that was used to layer the first mat along the inside of the card. I trimmed them to size and then applied Enjoy Every Day, a sticker from the sticker sheet, in the center of the card, and then adhered the inside mat to the inside of the card base. A little black heart sequin was in the sequin mix, and I decided to place that just below the sticker. The glitter drops enhance the little heart that was on the front of the card, the inside and outside, and then finally a nice photograph. So that completes card 1. On to card 2. I cut 2 separate panels from the 12 by 12 card sheet, and I applied adhesive and secured them together and then cut it down to size. I used my trick of the narrow double-sided adhesive tape to secure 2 different ribbons together in a layered effect. And then I applied the double-sided adhesive tape to the center of the smaller mat on the back, because this is where I was going to put my nice layered ribbon. And once that was on there securely, I applied Nuvo Deluxe, making sure to go over that ribbon, and attach the front layered panel onto the black cardstock mat. I applied cello tape along the back because I was going to put foam tape to cover the whole thing. If you were going to glue it, then you would have to use a smaller piece of tape just in the center so that the perimeter of the card base would be adhered properly to anything that you wanted to apply it to. The cello tape would make it come away. So once I had that completely covered with some double-sided adhesive foam tape, I removed the backing, and then I placed this onto the card front. Onto the inside, I reserved a strip from the initial mint green and white layer, and I adhered that with Nuvo Deluxe adhesive and then cut that down to size. The lovely Love from Lizi peel-offs were applied to the top of that strip, and then that was trimmed down as well. I reserved the extra part for later use and adhered the inside panel to the inside of the card base, and that completes this card. On to card number 3. This card utilized a lot of stickers from the sticker sheet, so I took off the one for the bottom, which was candles, and then the top, which was more like a scallop decoration. I applied those directly to the front of the card, pardon me, and then used a sticker which I applied foam tape to so that it would have a little bit of dimension. Using the balloon stamps from the card kit, I matched ink to the colors of the stickers. I stamped them and cut them out by hand and then applied baker's twine to the bottom of the balloons. I applied dimensional foam to two of them, the happy and the birthday, and the middle yellow one was attached flat to the card. I tied the baker's twine of all three of them together and hung that down almost to the center of the card, securing it with cello tape in the back and then applying some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive all over the back piece. The card front was attached to the card base and a lawn fawn twine ribbon was attached to cover the knot. Some Studio Katia raindrops were used over the flames of the candles so that it would give it some dimension and some shine. A sticker from the sticker sheet was attached to the center of the card, and the same scallop sticker that was on the front was carried on to the inside. It was trimmed back, and then another sticker was applied just below the first one. Nuvo crystal drops in Dandelion yellow were applied to the flower centers, but only on the front of the card. The inside sticker says Make a Wish, and there's lots of dimension, and here's a nice photograph of that completed card. Card number 4 utilizes a sticker sheet. I use the negative portion to make a nice border along the bottom of the card front, and then applied a Love from Lizi peel off directly above that. With a T-square ruler, I marked where a nice straight line where I wanted to attach the PARTY stickers. Attaching a foam square behind each one of them. A flower sticker from the sticker sheet was used, and then I used a nice clean eraser to remove the pencil markings. The sticker You're Invited was placed just below the T. I cut a strip from the backing of the 12 by 12 paper. There was enough on that sheet to do both top and bottom of the front, so I put that on the front just below the fold, and then used the Love from Lizi peel off directly below that. I trimmed those off and then repeated the same thing on the inside of the card, using a strip of the paper that matched the front along with the Love from Lizi peel off. Nuvo drops were added to the flower centers in Dandelion on the front of the card. And that completes this card. And on to card number 5. This card utilizes the pattern paper that was in the kit as well as pink cardstock. A happy birthday die from the kit was cut twice with the pink cardstock, and these two pieces were layered together for dimensional sentiment. A panel backside was attached to black matte mirror cardstock, as well as the happy birthday sentiment. Both were trimmed very close to the happy birthday and the panel to leave a small border, and then dimensional foam squares were attached to the back of the sentiment strip, and this strip was attached to the center of the smaller panel. This smaller panel was attached to the pattern paper cardstock mat, and then the mat was attached to the card base front. The inside of the card used some of the pattern paper from the front. This was attached in a strip to the bottom of the card inside, and then the inside panel was attached to the inside of the card base. Dandelion yellow and blush Nuvo drops were attached to the front panel on the flowers, and that completes this card. And now we're on to card number 6. Card number 6 also used pattern paper from the kit, as well as a panel from the large panel sheet. Celebrate was fussy cut by hand and then rolled in the same color ink. A strip was cut from the back of one of the panels, 12 by 12 panel sheets. This was attached to the center, and then the Celebrate was given some dimension and placed over the top. A strip from that same 12 by 12 panel sheet was attached to the inside, and one of the stamps, the party hat, which says "It's your birthday," was stamped on the inside of the card. Sequins from the sequin pack, as well as the previous kit sequin pack, were layered on the front of this card, and the Dandelion Nuvo drops were attached to the center. I then took a smaller panel from the 12 by 12 sheet and cut the balloon out by hand exactly as the Celebrate was, and rolled in ink as well. Glossy accents were dabbed haphazardly along the bottom of the balloon, and then some crushed sequins were applied to the bottom, and then the excess were tapped off, and then this was attached with dimension to the front of the card. The corresponding strip from the front was attached to the inside, and that completes this card. Card number 7. We've taken another panel from the panel sheet and cut that down, applying peel-off stickers on each side of the sentiment strip. One strip did both sides. Once you have them in place, it's good to apply some pressure, and then I rounded the corners with my chomper. I cut a black piece of cardstock into a strip and then lined the peel-offs on each side. A piece of black fun foam was attached to the back of this strip, and then this strip was applied to the center of a side fold portrait card. Some weight was used to make sure that that was down nicely and secured. I applied and layered sequins just as I had in the previous card, and I laid that in spot, the center panel in where it would be, so that I could see that I had the sequins in the right spot. I used one of the Studio Katia's round clear drops and I placed that over the sequins. The center panel was attached to the front mat, and then all of this was attached to the card base front. It's time to do the inside, so I cut a white panel, and I used the Love from Lizi peel-offs along the bottom, and then attached the sticker from the sticker sheet that said "You're Fabulous." The card inside was attached to the card base, and that completes this card. Card 8 used a panel from the 12 by 12 sheets. I placed glossy accent on the flame of each of the candles on the panel, and then I got an assortment of washi tape and made some strips in different widths along 2 pieces of cardstock. The length wasn't important, but the width was the same size as my card width. I wanted to have a lot of variety, so I used quite a few different colors and designs. I cut off the excess tape off of each of the sides and then cut out the taped portions themselves. Back to the panel, I cut Happy Birthday off of the end and then cut out the flames of the candles just around the flame, and then cut out the candles individually. And I made some decisions about what I wanted my front of the card to look like. Once I was happy with that, I took some distress ink, and first I used Fossilized Amber just in the center, and then used Antique Linen, pushing from the middle to the outside because you really just want to glow. I sprayed that with water and then wicked up the water and then dried it. And then once it was dry, I had a die cut, which was from a Tailored Expressions die, placing the cake base on the card and then layering up my washi tape. On each of the top corners, I used the corner rounder and rounded it, and then laid little strips so that it looked like frosting. I decided to make the cake more narrow, so I trimmed off this washi piece to size and rounded that corner, both corners on that one too. All of the cake pieces were attached with dimension, whereas the cake base was flat. And a layer of frosting was attached to this too. It really hides the joints. And then I made a decision about the top layer and then cut that down to size and rounded the corners there as well. A decorative piece was placed on the second piece of cake, and then the candles were cut down again and then tucked underneath the top portion of the cake. These were applied directly to the card base. And then I cut down the panel along each side to make it a little more narrow so that I could attach these washi strips here, the black and white stripe. I attached those to paper first and then glued them on directly onto the panel. I used foam tape on the back side of the cake piece because that would look better, in my opinion, raised. And then I attached that. Dimensional adhesive foam was attached to the Happy Birthday on the back side, and then that was attached to the card base. Time to decorate the inside, so another one of these strips from the 12 by 12 card panels, the back side, was attached to the inside mat, and then this mat was attached to the inside of the card base. Nuvo Dandelion drops were again used on the center of the flowers. The blush was attached to the decorative pieces on the cake. And silver lining Nuvo dots were attached to the bottom of the cake, just above the cake plate. And that completes this card. And now we're on to card 9. Card 9 uses the patterned paper, which was cut down to an A2 size card portrait. Pink ribbon from the kit was used to tie a bow along the side of the card, making a loose, loopy bow. making sure to keep it taut and giving those ears a tug. Cardstock was applied to the front backing to hide the ribbon, and then a glue dot was attached below the bow. Celebrate was cut with a die, and It's Your Day was attached to the inside, as well as a Love from Lizi peel off. And then we're on to card number 10. I lost the footage for this, but this was also the pattern paper, the black mirror matte cardstock, and a panel was cut. The heart was cut out of a panel that was on the 12 by 12 sheet. The pattern paper was incorporated on the inside panel, as well as a Love from Lizi peel off. And here are all 10 cards. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.